Welcome to the Saturday Morning Block Party Podcast. I'm your host Norbert, and today we're talking about internet animation. It's pretty crazy how the internet has really changed how cartoons are made and distributed. I remember the first time I learned that you could make cartoons on the internet. It was when I watched that Simpsons episode, I Am Furious Yellow, where Bart made a cartoon on the internet and the company went bankrupt. Anyway, I thought it would be really interesting to talk about internet animation, how it's evolved, and some of the things that go into making animation, some of the stuff about why it's much easier and much better for people, for independent animators than it was back 20 years ago. And we kind of bounced around a lot in this episode. It was a lot less structured than I thought it would be, but it's still a good episode. I hope you do enjoy it. Just bear with us if we bounce around a lot. With me today is MrCakeDragonMan. He makes YouTube videos, reviews, and he also does voice acting. So I hope you enjoy.
The first person that I found out about, like, even like not just animation, but like just for online stuff anyway, was Egoraptor. But if I need to be actually accurate, the first internet person I figured out about was Kimbo Slice, because of the fact that my brothers always watch boxing and stuff. But we're not talking about Kimbo Slice. His MMA career is bad. Anyway, back to animation, the things that people actually care about. Aaron was probably one of the biggest inspirations in my life, and probably a big inspiration to everybody else that was on Newgrounds and stuff like that. And he was basically a guy that did animations and then also wanted to be a voice actor. And he, as well as other animators, were inspired by him, and then they got better and better and better, and he also got better and better and better. And to be honest, his new stuff now looks a lot better than it did back then. But that was only because of the fact that we didn't have that many resources or anything. But like, yeah, he's gotten a lot better with his animation and his drawing skills. And that's something I can really appreciate. And as well as his voice acting. And this is a big inspiration of why I'm voice acting right now.
I got the internet a lot later than most people. It was probably the mid 2000s because my parents really didn't know anything about technology and I really didn't have a place to learn. So for most of my childhood, I didn't have internet. I learned all of my computer stuff from this gray old Dell that was not connected to the internet with Windows 95. But eventually I did get on the internet, and probably the first internet cartoons I really got into were the Explosum, Cyanide, and Happiness shorts. Yeah, technology has been a really big boost for helping people go on the internet and make cartoons more, because first of all, in the early 2000s, a lot of people didn't have, I don't know if they had broadband, but it was definitely not to the point it is now. So internet speeds were a lot lower. It was a lot harder to download and stream and process and upload video. And even if you did, a lot of the times it would just be ugly 280, 140p. And not only that, but it was a lot harder to make good looking animations.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And then like people like Ross, I remember his oldest animation. It was like a collaborated thing that he did with Stamper and a bunch of other guys. And like his animation skills back there. I'm sorry, Ross, if you're watching this. It was terrible. It was fucking god awful. But then after that, Ross grew, and then he made the lines less thick, and then he made the faces actually look like faces, and like, it was really good. He improved a lot, and like so did a bunch of other animators from Newgrounds who started at Newgrounds, but like Newgrounds isn't really a good starting point anymore because of the fact that there's YouTube and stuff, and not that many people really look at things like that.
Yeah, and back then the software was a lot different too, because
of course.
Yeah, they still had Adobe Suite back then like they do now, but one of the things is that those are ridiculously expensive. If you haven't looked up the price for any of Adobe's programs, even though I don't think they sell them anymore, I think it's like $20 a month, but when they did sell them as a package, like you buy the program, you buy the program and you keep it forever, you could buy an entire like very decent computer, like monitor and keyboard and rig and all for the price of that software. And that's insane. So I'm pretty sure most people even today pirate it, but the kind of piracy we have today was not nearly as reliable and widespread and easy to use as it was back then.
Yeah, no one really gives a shit, like, as much as it is for piracy as it is. Some people can download Sony Vegas Premiere and then, like, not pay for anything because they have, like, torrents and stuff like that. And I think that for some of the cases, that's a very good thing because we wouldn't have a lot of the... I'm pretty sure when JonTron started, I'm pretty sure he didn't spend $100,000 on Sony Vegas or whatever program he uses.
Yeah, and even though you just exaggerated, these programs seriously cost like $300, $400, $500, $600, $700. I'm not exaggerating. That's actually how much they cost.
It costs like a lot of money. If you want to get into animation, I say get a steady job, learn the basics of drawing and animation, and then like you won't lose your way, and you'll be just fine. You'll be just fine, and things will go your way if you know how to draw.
Yeah, and even if you did have those kinds of programs, they've made leaps and bounds since then. Like, even if you go back and look at early 2000s television shows, they use Macromedia Flash instead of Adobe Flash. The jump in quality is just amazing. Like, a lot of the Flash shows today, like, I don't know, Motor City, Dan Versus, there's a lot of moments, the majority of the time, you wouldn't even know it was done in Flash if before you just been watching all Macromedia Flash.
Yeah, and that's the thing that, like, I don't know, because, like, Ed, Edd n Eddy was the last cartoon that didn't use any type of Flash or anything. It was all hand-drawn and everything. That was something that was really impressive. But I feel like that is, like, a kind of a dying art form now, because you have things like Flash and you have like a bunch of other things that I can't name. Oh, Toon Boom, I think, is one of the animation things. A lot of people would rely mostly on that, and sometimes people don't rely on their like drawing skills, which is very sad. Especially like most, I'm sorry to say this, but pony animators, barely any of them actually draw their stuff. They just find puppets and then they just animate it, and I just don't think that has like any real effort into it. I mean, there is effort into it, but I mean, you're not drawing it. You're just using models that some other guy did, and sometimes you're using models from VHX I think it is VHX. I mean DHX. I got that and the little tapes all mixed up, but
yeah, I'm sure that's true for some people, but I think overall in general you're not giving them enough credit. I'm sure that, I mean, digital does take a lot of effort, and
of course,
when you're talking about Ed, Edd n Eddy, I think you meant not Flash but digital. And if you look into it, the animators on Ed, Edd n Eddy were really resistant to the change to digital. I really want this shirt that I saw. I think Danny Antonucci was wearing. It had the AKA logo and had digital on it, and they even snuck that into a scene of Ed, Edd n Eddy. That was cool. But
I didn't know about that. Where like what scene is that?
I don't know. You should ask Kevin Lordy, who runs the Book of Scams.
I will want to discuss more about like how animation has like just grown, because like I think like only Flash was like the only available resource of animation, right? Or was there something else back in the day?
There was probably a lot of other stuff, but I think Flash might have been the standard, especially for sites like Newgrounds, which were really good with Flash.
That's the thing that I want to talk about. There are some like Flash animations that I saw that some of them were really, really good, and then others were just really, really bad. And I was just like, okay, I want to learn how to do that, but I never like knew any of the resources or how to draw or any of that stuff. I took art from middle school, and they didn't teach us dick. They literally taught us absolutely nothing, and they just told us to trace things, and I traced it in, and it was like, "Wow, you'll be a really good artist someday." I was like, I didn't draw this. I looked at it. I looked at an image on Google of Kara from Sergeant Frog and started doodling on that, and then I just made it. It was never put up on the fridge. That's what made me sad. That's maybe the saddest.
Well, now that you mention guidance and instruction, stuff like that, teaching people how to do art, it's a lot easier now than it is before, because you go on YouTube, there's a lot of tutorials. There's lynda.com and stuff like that. And no, we're not sponsored by Lynda. I wish we were so I could get paid. But
yo, Lynda, give a sponsor of this guy. His podcast is cool. Mostly because I'm in it, but, you know.
And there's just an enormous amount of references and tutorials and stuff like that. Really good, really in-depth, and all kinds of stuff on Tumblr and on DeviantArt, which were around back then, but now social media is much bigger, so it's much more available. You also have professional animators really getting to interact with fans and give like more personal advice than would have been possible earlier, because earlier,
like social media was really a new thing. Like not that many people went on MySpace or anything because of how cancerous it was, and also due to the fact that it wasn't really a thing that most people would use for like giving out animation tips or whatever. That would be something like, hey, I made a selfie and this girl's tits are hanging out and poop and stuff like that.
Yeah, and also, and besides that, a lot of the animators these days, the people in their 20s and their early mid-30s, they also grew up with internet in school when they were in school, so they're a lot more integrated than the people who didn't even have internet until they were like in college, or when they got to work, they had a work computer. That's all the internet they had. So we've got animators that are just a lot more connected to the internet just because of how old they are and what kind of world they grew up in. As I said, I got internet late, so I wasn't really around when Newgrounds was the king, but the first stuff I saw was Explosm's Cyanide and Happiness shorts, which were really good, and I really liked how they had crude humor. It was stuff that you couldn't see on TV, well, maybe besides on The Simpsons or The Family Guy, but I didn't watch Family Guy. You couldn't see stuff like, I have the most comfortable butt in the world. And I think that's something that's really colored a lot of the humor that early internet animation has done, because it was this feeling, we can do whatever we want. We don't have to worry about censors or advertising or guidelines for film festivals or anything. We can say poop.
With fond memories of eating each other's buttholes fresh in their minds, we find our heroes at the Pokemon Center.
Welcome to the Pokemon Center. I'm Nurse Joy.
Hello.
Can I fix your Pokemons when they're feeling sick? Okay. You guys just let me know if there's anything I can do for you.
Toss your butt. Spread your butt.
Okay, like this. I'm sorry, did that ruin it? Yeah.
No.
And I feel like while there's still a lot of that, because that's a thing a lot of people want and the internet's the best place to put it, I feel like that's gone down a bit because people came off the high and say, okay, we've had our fun, but it's getting kind of boring. Let's see what else we can do. So, and yeah.
I actually never grew up with Explosms. Do you recommend it to everyone else as of today? Or do you think it was best when it was like back in the oldies? Or is it still going on right now?
Well, it's still going on. Back then, they would just do a short every few months, but eventually they got together, did a crowdfunding campaign to have the Cyanide and Happiness show, which during each season, they'll have one episode a week. It's like 11 minutes, and it's kind of like a variety show with different shorts for 11 minutes. And when they're not in the main season, every week they'll have one really short, and the overall production quality is a lot better. They've really upped the game.
I would really like crowdfunding. Let's get into that now. Crowdfunding is something that I believe is amazing. It's like a wonderful thing that's like, oh, you want this thing? Okay, give us money and we'll give you stuff too. And it's because like some people actually have some like trouble with crowdfunding. Am I correct?
Do you mean like difficulty? Some people have difficulties getting money through crowdfunding, or do you think people have?
It's like, it's more of this guy's selling out because he wants to make money off of doing things that he loves. And it's like, no, he wants to make things better for you. Why are you being mean about it? And it's like, I've been seeing a lot of comments and everything of saying like how crowdfunding is bad because people are just like, oh, this isn't a right thing to do because this person wants to make a living off of animation and stuff. And I'm just like, let them do what they want. And like, if you shouldn't, like, you're not paying them anyway, so why are you bitching about it? And I think crowdfunding is amazing because of the fact that like with people like they can do so many like little things with animation when it's free and everything by Flash, but with like the more money that they make, the more amazing things they can do, and like the more imagination it can take. And well, like not more imagination, but like the more things they can have in their imagination, things just pull it out of their head and then they can just like plant it everywhere. And it's like it's kind of like crowdfunding's kind of like planting like a seed in a garden and then you just watch it grow.
Yeah, it's really interesting how the whole Patreon and Kickstarter thing really gave a boost to a lot of people, but I really haven't seen that affect animators that much because I've seen it work with comic makers. They can put out more stuff. Maybe some people doing it's been mainly comic makers and YouTubers who are not animators who I've seen get a boost from Patreon, but
I've seen some animators actually make a pretty decent living off of Patreon and stuff. Emily Yukis, who made the Alfred Alvarez series, a series basically about a dog who, yeah, let's just say it's about a dog and bad things happen. It was a very messed up and disturbing animated series, but it's getting the crowdfunding and it's becoming more of a success because of the things on Patreon and stuff.
Yeah, the thing about animating on the internet or animating in general is it takes a lot of time. And if you want to do a lot of animation, then you need a lot of time. But you still need to eat, you still need to pay bills. So instead of spending that time on animating, you're spending that time working at your
Deli,
a birthday clown or working at Subway or something.
Or like doing like little shows like stand-up comedy or some stuff like that if you're a funny guy.
Yeah, and a lot of people overestimate how much YouTubers or anyone who makes content on the internet makes money. And YouTube, you do get some money from YouTube, but it's not nearly as much as a lot of people think. Yeah,
it's like petty change. It's like, oh, okay. Like, especially if you're very, very small. Like if you have like 100 or something subscribers and you get like only 1,000 views for each video that you make, it's not that much, but it's something. And that's why like people make Patreon and stuff because like they do have some fans that will be supportive and give them a certain amount of money so they can make a decent living off of it. And that's why I think Patreon is also a really good thing as well. And like I want to talk about YouTube. I want to talk about YouTube stuff really, really quickly with ads and everything like that. The thing is with YouTube, it helps out only a little teeny tiny bit, especially if you're starting out. Like, because if you're starting out and you don't have that many views and you're partnered with somebody, you're not going to get paid as much as you think you would. But if you're like really, really big and you're partnered with somebody, still nothing, but it's something. It's a lot more than what you would usually make.
Yeah.
And like the thing is, YouTube shouldn't be about making money. It should just be about having fun, doing the things that you want to do, making animations, voice acting, doing butt stuff and drawing butt stuff for NSFW people out there. Shout out to all you all NSFWs. But yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about actually making money on YouTube. Like now there are a lot of people who do YouTube full time. Good for them. But and you'll learn this if you actually try to make a channel and monetize it. I'm talking to the audience, not to you, of course. But unless you have like 5 to 6 figure views with a decent retention rate, multiple times a month, but more realistically, multiple times a week per new video, you will not make a living on YouTube. And to give a little bit of an idea of how much money you can make from YouTube ads, I've been partnered with Frederator. It's not a big deal.
That's nice. I've always wanted to partner with Frederator.
I've been partnered with them for their multi-channel network program since January. And since then, I've gotten around 5,000 views on YouTube.
That's great. That's a lot more than my videos. I'm lonely.
Now, that's how long I've been having ads. That's how many views I've gotten since I've started putting ads in my videos. Now, how much money have I made from that? About $11. And after Frederator takes their cut, it's more like $7.
Again, I'm not going to lie. That's a lot more than I made from my channel. When I first started, I thought I was going to get like, I'm going to get to like $10 every time I make a video.
Yeah.
But sadly, it only because of the fact that I get 1,000 views like once a month or whatever, I only get a good $1.
Yeah. And
like the thing is, making a YouTube channel and trying to like make a living off of it is not easy. And like you shouldn't do it just because you want money or anything like that. You should do it because of the fact, again, you should do it because you love making animations, or you love making reviews, or you love doing voice acting, or so on and so forth.
Yeah, but that said, you can't do what you love if you aren't able to feed yourself. So
that's true.
It's
so like
really
get
important.
like a side job, like get a job on the side, and then like work your way. That's what I think.
Yeah, but if you do want to make animation full time independently your job, then just keep in mind that YouTube advertisements, until you get really big where you're having hundreds of thousands of views a month, maybe millions of views a month, YouTube is probably going to be your lowest income. I'm trying to get sponsorships for my podcast, but if I teamed up with Audible and got just one person to sign up for a free trial, that I would make double of what I've made through YouTube and from YouTube advertisements, from getting 5,000 views over the course of like 5 months.
So you'd make like $22. But yeah, that's something that is really good. And like I don't mind sponsors or anything, but I would like suggest, like, if you want to start up YouTube, just don't think about it for the money. Just think about doing it for yourself. Because if you think about it just for the money, you're not gonna have fun. Or like it'll be like more of a chore than it is like a privilege, you know?
Yeah, and it's especially hard with this system because it's more doable if you make vlogs or whatever, but animation is very time consuming. Just a simple 60-second video is weeks of work, days if you want to do an inhumane amount of, if you want to have an inhumane work schedule, you can get it done in days. And that really hurts animators.
It hurts the channel.
There was a good video somewhere about why YouTube's algorithms make it difficult to make a living off independent animation.
A piece of high-quality animation could take one person from about 2 to 5 months to produce. Frequent uploads for an independent animation channel are incredibly unreasonable a requirement, and alternatively, animators have chosen to produce simpler animations in the form of animatics, lesser quality animated cartoons that kind of keep the same comedic vision intact. Though they still don't meet the second requirement. This is kind of what kills it, guys. Minutes watched. It's unreasonable and entirely unattainable for these channels. The golden number that I hear time and time again is around like 10 minutes or more. For an animation channel to achieve this, they need to be able to pay an entire staff of animators. That's an unlikely scenario for most. The longer the content, the higher the quality of the ads you'll be able to run on, and the better the CPM you receive. The sad truth is that, regardless of views, most animated content being produced now is at a loss to the creator.
Yes, and another thing that I would like to discuss is there is it's also about the people you know. That also helps you a lot. Like with the people you know that's in animation, or people you know that's on YouTube, and like they sponsor your channel, or they're just like, oh, hey, I did this thing for this person, and they just basically tell you what they did and everything, and it just ends up being like an update video or whatever. That helps you a lot because of the fact that like it's a person that's really, really big who you didn't think that was ever going to even notice that your existence, and then they sponsor your channel that they helped out on or that they were in, and you just suddenly get like a bunch of more views. A good example of this is my boy Nick Dante from Group 5. Shout out to Group 5, all of them castmates. He had voice actress Vanna Mellon and YouTube personality Shippage in his videos as like two of the main characters. Vanna being Liza and Shippage being not Mike. Some other person who no one cares about. Anyway. Basically, they said, "Oh, I did voice work for Nick Dante for Group 5, and because of that, his views skyrocketed from like just like 500 to like 300,000 or whatever. I don't remember the exact number of views, but I know it was in the 100,000s. And he's also been making a pretty decent living on Patreon now. And like with Nick, he had a very tough time. He actually like his family like." Told him he couldn't do Group 5 anymore, and he couldn't do like online animation or anything anymore, and then he was kicked out of his own home because he wanted to strive at it, and like he was like homeless for a few days I mean, weeks actually. And then after that, more family members, like his other family members came in, and then like they brought him back. And then because of their support, he still makes animation. In my personal opinion, that's someone who strives to do animation. And that's someone who I like admire so much, that you want to do something you love so much and that you'll literally give up everything to do that one thing.
Yeah, well, while we're on the topic of making money and making a living through internet animation, what a lot of people have probably noticed, and what I've noticed too, is that a lot of the big people, the most popular people, the people who are most likely to be able to make a good amount of money, even if it's not enough to make a living, but a really good amount of money from just YouTube advertisements alone, they're not doing as much animation as they used to. They're branching off to other things. They're using their audience to find new ways to monetize. Like, we all know about how Egoraptor used Let's Plays to start Game Grumps, and that's a lot. And that's how he's making a lot of his money, probably the majority of it. And he's also doing
Starbomb.
Right, he's doing Starbomb.
And I would like to say that Aaron wants to do different things, not just because of the fact that it has something to do with money, but I think like you need to reach out your resume. Like if you want to get a job somewhere or whatever in voice acting business, and like you want to do more things, Aaron is doing exactly that. He's doing voice acting. He's doing animation. He's doing music now. And he's actually, I heard that like he was actually going to be making his own album with Ninja Brian from Ninja Sex Party producing his album. And he's also doing Game Grumps, which is a big thing. And like, that's something that a lot of people need to understand. Like, you can't just go do that one thing willy-nilly and expect more views and like money and stuff. If you're an animator and you've been known for animating, but you can't make that much content, doing something like daily things like Let's Plays or podcasts or whatever is another thing to reach out to your audience and everything and gain new audience members as well.
Yeah, my point is just that a lot of the most popular people who are internet animators, they usually don't stay internet animators. They usually get their income. They usually get good and get popular and famous through their animations. Like, even today, every once in a blue moon, Egoraptor will put out a video and that'll get over 1 million views. He uses that audience. People use that audience and they funnel that into other less time consuming but more profitable ventures. And that's really interesting to me because it doesn't seem like a lot of other creative types on the internet have to do that. But because of just the way YouTube's what do you call it? Algorithms, and also the nature of creating a cartoon, that just seems like a necessity for people who want to make money animating online.
And that's why people make things like Game Grumps animations and Sleepycast animations and a bunch of other animated stuff like that, especially Markiplier animations as well. And they branch out to those people, the animators of their animations, of their gameplay stuff, and then they hire them. They say, hey, can you make a little animated thing for us? And then they're like, oh, wow, sure. And then they do. And then they get more venue sometimes when if they're only known for that one thing, and then they keep doing that one thing over and over again, which is another thing that's very hard for some YouTubers right now, especially Brandon Turner, who only did like once in a full blue moon, he did like original animations, but now he's just doing full-time Game Grumps animations because that gets the views and that gets him money and that gets him like all of the merchandise, selling the Game Grumps t-shirts and stuff, his Game Grumps t-shirts and stuff, and he'll get venue out of his t-shirts as well as Frederator and stuff like that.
Yeah, I really wish we could have. In a later episode, I need to get someone who is a big animator on here. I tried to contact Jaltoid, and I'll find somebody to talk more in depth about what it's like being a big online animator.
And I will help you. Maybe. Probably not, because I'm sad and small. Anyway, while we're talking about big time animations, let's talk about the little things. I actually want to get into that new animation with those two girls getting into the like jail cell or whatever, like Doris and Mary.
Yeah,
Doris and
Marianne are going to break out of prison.
Ears here, Marianne. I've decided the way to happiness behind these cold walls is to find religion. Now, the prison life... Chapter 1.
Kneel before Lord Gangrel.
I really loved it. I thought it was good from beginning to end, and I was like, I don't want to watch the episodes right now because I want to binge it, because like I knew it was going to be like they were going to be very, very small and they were going to take a lot of time and stuff to make. So I was just like, I'm just going to wait till the season or series or whatever ends, and then after that I'm going to binge it. And I did, and it was fantastic from beginning to end. I don't want to spoil anything, but just goddamn.
For those of you who don't know, Doris and Marianne Are Breaking Out of Prison is a very recent short web series about two women in the roaring 20s who are locked in a jail cell. One of them is, well, they're locked in prison. They're able to leave the jail cell during showers and meals, even though you don't see it, but it's not some weird Saw-like thing. Okay, we got off topic. But anyway, it's this really nice short show, and it's pretty interesting how it was put together. I don't think I've seen many web series that are just planned out like this one just to be
Unique?
No, I mean just to be, okay, here's like 10 or 12 episodes. We have this planned out. It's going to be on a schedule and then we're done. A lot of stuff is kind of like, okay, here's one episode and then like 3 months later, okay, here's another, and okay, and we don't really know when it's going to end. It's going to end whenever. But this is kind of different in that this is like a planned out mini series that's really interesting to me. And it's created by Ben Levin, who is a writer for Steven Universe.
That explains how sporadic and just beautiful it is. And like I do love the fact that some Cartoon Network animators are actually going on to animation, but like because of the fact that they know that like they can't get their thing on television, they branch out to the internet and they do stuff like this. And it's beautiful. It's amazing. Doris and Marianne Are Breaking Out of Prison is brought to you in part by Breaking Out of Prison. Do it.
And
or not.
The fact that someone with a full-time animation job is just able to just, oh, hey, here's this short thing I made. It's really interesting. And it also reminds me of the way that internet has made it a lot easier for people to get their stuff made and get it out there, because before the internet was big, probably the biggest way to distribute your work, unless your work was work on a television show or a film, was you made a short and you showed it in college, and maybe if you're lucky, you'd be able to show it at film festivals. But now you just make it on your computer and you upload it to YouTube, and it's just there for the entire world to look at. When before it was just a bunch of people in a video store who smell like weed.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. You just like right there, you just like completely talked about J.G. Quintel's childhood right there.
Yeah. Plus with this, the only equipment you need, bare minimum, is a drawing tablet. I mean, or you could do a regular tablet like an iPad or something. I know Pan Pizza uses that, even though he's not really an animator. But anyway, you could use a USB microphone, even though other mics are the best. But that's really the only equipment you need. Back before digital animation, you needed cells and this weird kind of camera. I'm not exactly sure how it works, but I don't think it's as easy as 3 pounds of equipment that you just plug into your computer.
Oh, of course not. It was like much more complex back in the day. Back in the day of Mickey Mouse and Bugs Bunny and all those other animated cartoon characters. Back in my day, we used to watch Bugs Bunny, and now we have this Hellbenders and this Ego Rapper and all those other little kids with their little toys. Grandpa, I'm scared. Don't be scared, Billy. Watch the little thing on the telly. That's not a telephone, Creme. Never mind. I messed up the joke. Oh well. Anyway, let's talk about being Puppy Cat.
Get off!
Bee's been in the bathroom for a while now.
Who cares?
Sitting around looking for excuses to mother her. I think she'd feel bad about that.
I mentioned Frederator before, and you probably, even if you haven't seen their internet stuff, you've probably seen their work on Fairly Odd Parents and Chalkstone, My Life as a Teenage Robot. After the credits, there'd be a logo like, Frederator!
Frederator!
Yeah.
I wonder how many takes that poor little, let's say, girl had to take just yelling the word Frederator. Her voice probably just sounds like this. I don't want to see my mom and daddy, please. I don't want to take another take. But yeah, Bee and Puppy Cat was a thing that I saw.
I still want to keep introducing them. They eventually did branch off into the internet, and they've done a lot of really short cartoons. They've done short web series, and they've also got 2 really ongoing ones. Well, more than 2, but the 2 most popular ones are Bravest Warriors and Bee and Puppy Cat. And Bravest Warriors is this sci-fi show, and that's headed by, what do you call them? Pendleton Ward of Adventure Time. And Bee and Puppy Cat is this, I don't even know how to describe it, slice of life fantasy made by Natasha Alghileri.
Oh, that's how you say her last name.
I hope so.
I hope we got their names right. But yeah, if I would like to give out my little input on Bee and Puppy Cat, it's more, what you said it was like a slice of life type show and had a little bit of fantasy in it. It's kind of like a Western style animated thing. It's kind of like an anime, but it's actually in America, and it isn't weird and stuff. Okay, it's weird. It's very weird, but it's not too weird to the point where you're just like, oh, please stop. No, it's a cute kind of weird. And I really do like the characters that are in it. And I like how in every episode they get more and more like developed, I guess. And then we see these new characters, and then like you just want to see more of them.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's like anime, because the drawing style doesn't really look like it. And I know this might turn a lot of people off, but somebody's called it a glorified Nick Jr. show, and I find it hard. I actually find it hard to disagree with that, to be honest.
Really?
Yeah, just with the way the show is paced and structured.
You mean like, oh man, you're gonna get a lot of people be like, how dare he say bad things about my waifu? Puppy Cat is the best. What are you talking about, Beto? Puppy Cat's my waifu. You got a lot of strange comments. I don't know where you got them from, but anyway, I don't know. Bee and Puppy Cat, yeah, you're kind of right there. It is kind of like a little glorified Nick Jr. show or whatever, and like, but that's the style. I really like that style. I'll be the first to actually admit. Other than liking MLP, for the most part anyway, I also, like when I was a kid, or like when I was like a little older in my tween years, does anyone even say the word tween?
Nobody under 40.
Okay. Like in my little half child, half teenager years, I watched Wow Wow Wubsy. And it kind of has that type of humor with a little bit of more adult type stuff. Like not too adult, but a little bit of like kiddie humor or something like things that your kids would say in middle school or whatever. It's like, hey, she's got a big butt. Yeah, it's kind of like that, but it's cute and I like it. And I love the style of Bee and Puppy Cat, and I like how it was like it. I also kind of like the change of like the art style and everything. I thought it was very unique, and I loved Bee and Puppy Cat's design in that actually a little more than I did in the last version, even though Puppy Cat kind of looks a little bit the same.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the redesign, and it seems like I like V less as the show goes on. She's like she's like a big kid, and she doesn't know what to do with herself.
I saw this thing on Reddit. No, it was 4chan, and I was on Tumblr, and like it was a thing on 4chan. It was like, why do I like Fry from Futurama, and why do I hate Bee from Bee and Puppy Cat? And then one of them said something in lines of, it's because Fry's an idiot and Bee's autistic. I'm just like, oh, come on. That's come on. I mean, yeah, I guess like with Bee and Puppy Cat, it's not for everybody, but it's still a pretty good show. And I still like Bee. Like, I guess like we're all little kids at heart.
Yeah.
Because Bee's a bit more irresponsible than most adults. And I guess that's kind of what turns people off from the show.
Yeah, and we were talking about Kickstarter before. This show was actually kickstarted. They did a 2-episode pilot. Well, not a 2-episode, but 2-part pilot. And it got funded. They made some episodes, and it it's really weird because the episodes are split into 2 like 5-minute parts, and we've had 2 full episodes, but
What if
somehow that's the end of season 1, I think, or maybe there's one more episode of season 1, and I'm just
really? I thought it was gonna be like full on 12 episodes, and then after that, that's when season 1 was going to end.
It's
Like they said, Kickstarter.
okay, we have 2 or 3 2-part episodes. Okay, that's a season, I guess.
Yay!
And-
We're gonna do anime logic up in here.
And their release schedule is really weird. I know animation takes a long time, and this is the way I feel with stuff like Gravity Falls that has a really sporadic schedule, but like instead of putting out episodes 3 months apart, couldn't you have just waited until you could release them on a good schedule? Like,
Yeah, but you have to think about it on like the fans' side. It's like more people are on their side. It's like more people are asking, "Where's Being Puppy Cat? Where's Being Puppy Cat?" So like it kind of gives the creators a bit of like kind of like they're in a time schedule and everything. It's like, oh, a lot of people want this. Okay, let's put it in the episode. Put it in the episode. Wait, but it's not done yet. I don't care. Let's put the episode on so we don't die from these rabid fans.
yeah,
It's kind of like you're under pressure, and that's another thing. Same thing with like very quickly going back to Game Grumps. The thing with Starbomb, a lot of people are like, hey, make more Starbomb, and like they wanted more time so it could be the best album ever. And then after that, they just released it like I think like 10 months in advance, and then like it was good. I liked the second one, but like it wasn't the best. But back to Being Puppy Cat. I just do feel like sometimes people are under pressure to make things and they don't have time to just put in all the finishing touches. So they're just like, okay, just get a little piece of the cake, and then they just give it to them. Kind of like just giving them a little bit of a taste of what's to come in the future.
yeah. How do you feel about Bravest Warriors?
Bravest Warriors. I only saw the first season, and like I've been like very busy with like a bunch of other stuff. Cause like I did like actually catch up on like a bit of season 2, and I just like skipped a few episodes, and I just saw like the one with Plum coming back and everything. Or like this Plum is in an adventure with Danny. I think that's the guy in the jacket, like the red jacket. His name's Danny, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. And then like she was just like I love the humor in Bravest Warriors though, because basically there was this one part like it just made me realize how unattractive I am to you. I'm just like, oh god. And like the humor in like Bravest Warriors is like if Adventure Time grew up a little bit, but it's still like that stupid kid who's just making trouble.
Yeah, I like the way how Pan Pizza put it about cartoon Hangover. It's like, yeah, it's edgy, but not too edgy, because, you know, it's for the kids.
Not too edgy, it's for the kids. And then after that, you got a job at Frederator.
Yeah.
Good job.
Yeah.
Remember, kids, say terrible things about people, and you'll succeed in life.
Yep. But, yeah, I really like Bravest Warriors, and I'm looking forward to the rest of it, but I don't know, I really feel like Bravest Warriors is limited by its format as a like 5 to 10 minute web series on YouTube, because in my opinion the pacing is just awful for most of it.
Yes.
I feel like they got the hang of it towards the end of the second season, but at the first it's just episode 2, you're in love with Beth, and the audience is just like, okay, if you say so.
And
if you say so, I never really saw them interact or anything, and I barely know these characters. But okay, if you say they're in love, they're in love. I guess you didn't have time to show that.
Like, the main character is in love with Beth. I forgot the main character's name. I know that. Like, I know Wallow did. I don't know the other guy's name. I always forget him, because like he's basically like. He's a very bland character. He's basically just like Finn, except a little more responsible. Just a little bit.
Yeah. I feel like Bravest Warriors would just be a much better show if, maybe not for every episode, but if for a lot of the time they were able to have 11 or 22-minute long episodes instead of like 5 or 6.
But that's the problem with like most things out there. Because like even mainstream television and like, I mean, television and everything, there's like shows like Adventure Time and regular show, they're limited to 10 minutes, and their pacing is also awful. I love the shows, but like the pacing is just garbage, and like it's just like it's all over. Sometimes it can be all over the place, and they don't know what they're doing. And with Bravest Warriors, I feel like it has more liberties than Being Puppy Cat does, because of the fact that like Pendleton Ward knows what he's doing. The people know what they're doing. It's like, okay, kind of make it like Adventure Time, but not. And then they're just like, dude, like what? It's like, just do it. I was like, fine. And then they just write an episode of Bravest Warriors. Bravest Warriors is good. I do like the episodes, but like, I agree with you. The pacing is like pretty meh, but like, it's just because like, again, what I said about Being Puppy Cat having like limitations and everything, but I do still feel like Bravest Warriors has more like limitations because Pendleton Ward has worked in the industry for a long, I think he's worked a little longer than the lady that makes Being Puppy Cat. I already forgot her name, Natasha, but yeah, that's just my input on it.
Yeah. If you watch Bravest Warriors at the first season and you feel like you've missed, if you watch an episode in order and you feel like you've missed something, that's probably not your fault.
It's not your fault.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah. Okay. So we can talk about Animated James now.
Yay! Finally, I get to talk about Animated James.
Okay, what about an episode where the Titans each create clones of themselves to do the work that they don't feel like doing? It's the most original plot I could think of. Why not have Robin be secretly into ballet, and when the other Titans find out, he tries to kill them before they tell anyone else? That sounds like something Robin would do, right?
How about we reference the fact that Raven is a brony for the 100th time? I'm pretty sure people still find it hilarious.
That's it! We'll have Beast Boy and Cyborg join the military, and since they're both idiotic jackasses, they'll just annoy everybody the entire episode.
Fun fact, next review coming out is going to be my review on C Students. So, just gonna say that right there, but unrelated to my self-promoting ass, I would like to talk to all of you about his animation and how it's actually grown a lot. Back when I was just a complete and utter fanboy of everything, I saw his animations and I wasn't really impressed at the time. But then like looking at it now, looking at like the short Black Man Can't Jump with him and Cubics Fails, great voice actor by the way. And then like after that, looking at Seniors, it was okay. And then looking at C Students, which was the best work he's done, like that isn't like Sonic versus MLP related. His animation and like his like frame rate and everything, the way he animates, it's gotten a lot better, I would say. And I'd also like to say that I believe that like with Sonic versus MLP, it made him want to like do more animation, and I think it gave him more of that drive, and it made him just a lot better.
Yeah, I found out about Animated James a little while ago. I don't remember where I found out about him, but anyway, I really like his animations and C Students. I think he's got a tremendous amount of talent and skill. Watching Animated James' stuff was the first time in a long time where I really saw an artist take advantage of the fact that their medium was cartoons, because since, I don't know, maybe the early 2000s, cartoons have been a lot more structured, I guess. It's kind of hard to explain, but
I believe like if you're talking about structure, I think like it's more of the late 2000s, I think, is when they got a little more structured and like they weren't just all over the place.
Well, they're more grounded when it comes to movement and visual gags.
That's true.
Because that I guess that's what I mean. You watch his stuff, there's a lot of good visual gags, like he'll have a character walking sideways and his mouth will be off to the side of his face and he'll take his hand and he'll push it back to the correct spot. Or one character will press a pause button on her phone not a pause, a mute button on her phone, and there'll be mute in the corner of the screen and the guy's talking and you don't hear anything. Then another character walks up and smashes the mute, but the word mute off the side of the screen. That's really good. He does a lot of stuff like that, and I can really appreciate that.
Yeah, visual comedy, especially in animation, is something that I really do look forward to. Especially like when you make an animation that has crude humor and that like is actually has effort put into it, other than just making references and cutaways. But like, yeah, I really do like James, and I really do like his animation and like the processing that he does with all of that. I believe he has a long way to go, but he's doing really pretty good on his own right now.
And to build more on what I was talking about, him taking advantage of the fact that his medium is a cartoon. And I see some shows are kind of getting back to that, but they don't. I guess the attitude that I see with James and what you'll see with a lot of early 2000s and 90s and 80s and 70s and earlier cartoons is that, okay, the first priority is not, does this make sense? Is, will it make a good visual gag? Will it look funny? And then they'll do it. But they're kind of getting back to that today with cartoons like Steven Universe and Clarence, but it's not really, okay, let's have this character do something cartoony, visual gag. It's more like, let's have this character be off model and make a silly face.
Yeah, sometimes it can be like that, especially that scene in Clarence where like Jeff is on the computer and then like you just turn back to Sumo and then like he's just drawn terribly. Like, oh my God, Tom Kenny, what did you do to this poor child?
Yeah, that seems to be what most cartoons these days are. That seems as far as they're willing to go.
And let's not forget all of the faces Steven has made in the future. God, I wish we could just get a visual, like just a montage with sexy music playing, and just let's like fade in, and you see Steven just making his, like all the stupid
Balanced
faces.
breakfast.
Balanced breakfast. You just hear that in slow motion with an echo. Oh God.
Yep.
Steven Universe is great. Rebecca Sugar, I love you. But yeah, James is like, he's taken things like that and he's made it popular again. So I think James has a very good foot on his shoulders, or however that saying goes.
Yeah, and for those who don't know, C Students is his web show. It's like a full 20-minute or so web show, and it's just about high school students. Haven't really seen a lot of cartoons about just regular going to school in a while. And he really seems like a jack of all trades, because he seems good at writing. He's good at visual gags. He's good. Well, I don't know.
Let's just call him Childish Gambino if he was an animator.
Yeah, maybe. And he's also good at music composition, and he actually put in a musical number in C Students, and he's done music videos that seems, okay, I could really see this on like a Nickelodeon show in like 2005.
I was about to say, a Nickelodeon show. I don't know.
I really think that we could see big things from James if he gets a good art education and a good mentor. I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm just thinking of Egoraptor just rising down from the clouds. No, not Egoraptor. Give him someone. Maybe somebody good like Gendy. Oh, we can talk about Knock Force.
Now, this is the first show to cross over from the internet. The first. That's what they're saying. It's probably like first network show, but whatever. But why are they saying that like it's a good thing? Like, have you seen the internet? There's a lot of crap on there.
Shut up. We're on the internet.
Yeah, well, whatever.
People right now are like, why are they saying this shit? We're fucking things up right now, man.
Who cares? Come on. We all know what this is. We know it. I know what this is.
This is a cartoon.
Yes. And, we're not making freaking art here. This isn't Leonardo da Vinci. All right?
Or even DiCaprio.
Hell no.
Or even the Ninja Turtle.
Well, no. Probably not.
At least better than Secret of the Ooze.
I don't know. I have a soft spot for that movie.
Oh yeah, Knock Force. I was about to forget about Knock Force. Yo, that is a good example of someone who has started very small and then has just gotten to a bunch of stuff, as their other friends does movie reviews. Shout out to my bae, Jim Force, by the way.
Yeah, Knock Force was this online web show done by Jim Gizriel, who we had as a guest on our last full episode, Rick and Morty Forever100years.com. Go check that out. And also Ian Jones Quarty, who is...
Norbert, you kind of sound like a young version of Ian Quartz. I'm not lying. You kind of sound like him a little bit.
If you go in the comments of the Pizza Party podcast that I was on,
are they like, is that Ian Quartz?
Yes. And later, Pan told me I kind of sound like him. So. This is what it's like to be a black guy on the internet. Everyone confuses you with the other black guys. Like, people always think me and XLR are the same guy.
XLR has more of a distinguished voice. Like, he has more of like a little bit more of a low pitch. He sounds more like Wooly from The Best Friends than you do him.
Okay, Ian Jones Quarty is the supervising director. See, that's a big shot title on Steven Universe. And he is also voice of Wallow on Bravest Warriors, and eventually he will have his own show on Cartoon Network called Lakewood Plaza Turbo.
It's coming out? Is it actually coming out?
Yeah, eventually. From what I've heard, they're going to wait until Steven Universe is completely done before they start working on that.
Oh, so it's gonna...
Don't quote me on that. That's just what I heard.
Okay, so that means it's never coming out because I don't think Steven Universe is gonna end.
No, I think it is. They seem to have planned it pretty well and done a lot of it in advance.
Yeah. I remember Pan talking about, I think this is how everybody knows Knock Force. I remember Pan talking about Knock Force and like just saying how awesome it was. And I was like, oh, come on. He can't be serious with this one. I mean, it doesn't look that good. But then I saw it. I was like, wow, I'm in love with every single person that worked on this. So I'm in love with the two guys that worked on this. And then I like watched more and more of Knock Force. And it was like something really like, it was very sporadic and it didn't have that much of a like plot. It had like one real episode and then a bunch of shorts, but it was still very good. And I say that hopefully one day we will see the return of Knock Force. I would like to see that.
Yeah, Knock Force is about these two rappers, F Naka and Force. I don't cuss, so that's what you're getting. I'll bleep it out so it sounds like I did say it.
Oh, you probably bleeped out a bunch of stuff I said earlier then.
Dolphin noises.
Dolphin noises.
That's how I do it.
I love you, Norbert. I love you so much.
Yeah, and these two are living in magical Brooklyn, which I wonder how they felt when a couple months after their theme song came out, American Dragon Jake Long premiered.
When? Oh, I didn't know that. That's scary.
Yeah, and these two want to be the greatest rap group ever, and that's pretty much the show, but they only made, I think, 2 real episodes, and just about every other video on their channel is just a quickie where Ian and Jim would just talk. Jim explained the process for making this on an episode of Pizza Party Podcast, but they talk. Jim would pick a recording, send it to Ian, who would do all the art stuff, then Ian would send it back to... I don't even know if it's send because they were like roommates or something, but whatever. And Jim would do the lip syncing and stuff, but it's kind of like, every episode is kind of like Game Grumps animated, I guess.
Yeah, it's like a fan person, insert big YouTuber here animated, but it was very fun and I really enjoyed every single minute of it. I believe, like back to Patreon, I believe that if they came back and they tried crowdfunding for Knock Force, I think it would do really good. That's why I just keep on subscribing to Knock Force and everything, because I know probably someday they might come back.
Well, they pitched it to be a show, and you can actually find the pitch information online.
I saw the pitch information, and like they didn't know what it was about and everything. And I think that's what like fell off. I mean, like why things weren't set to stone or anything like that.
Yeah, they actually did a quickie parodying their efforts to get this on TV. And looking at the pitch information, yeah, I can totally understand why this wasn't picked up. And apparently they do too from what they've talked about. But this is a good example of people doing independent animation and then going on to do big things. Because Jones Quarty's a big shot now. And
Jim is still with us, being a cool guy and getting even bigger now, which I think is fantastic. Because his reviews are really good. At least I think so. It's something nice to listen to while you're doing other stuff. So go give Jim a watch and go watch Steven Universe and support Ian. Yeah, and audience, don't get the wrong impression. Jim isn't just...
he doesn't just talk to dorks on the internet all day. He has a real job.
He has a real job. He does stuff. He does things.
Yeah, he leaves his apartment or house or whatever and gets paid in stuff that's not Bitcoins. Oh, Jim also did Cletus the Fetus. That's an animated web show if you want to watch that.
I don't know. Does he like Cletus? I've never watched it, to be honest.
Me neither, but he's mentioned it, so he's cool with you watching it if you want to see it.
It's like I'm not gonna make any more new episodes, but if you want to watch it, I mean, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, Jim is a cool guy. He does reviews. He has a real job. Ian, he's doing Steven Universe right now. And also Bravest Warriors, so yeah. But yeah, I think Knock Force, I think if they came back and actually made another EP or whatever, I think it would be pretty good. I think because again, with crowdfunding and everything, I think it would just be really nice to see Knock Force come back.
And that was our episode on internet animation. To be perfectly honest, I'm not holding my breath for a Knock Force revival. If they wanted to do that and they did go through with it, I'd definitely watch it, but it just feels like, to me at least, that Knock Force has ran its course. And, all good things, yada yada yada. But who knows? During this episode, we played clips from Spaz Kid in 3D's Pokemon Spread video. We played a little bit of Rubber Ninja's Just Independent Animation Have a Future on YouTube. That is a much longer video than what we showed, so please watch the entire thing. It's really worth watching and really get a good idea of how YouTube works. We also played Doris and Marianne Are Breaking Out of Prison episode 5. Go watch that. We also played a little bit of Food Farmer, which is episode 1 and 2 of Being Puppy Cat, and then we played Animated James Teen Titans No. And the last video clip we used was from the Knock Force Quickie number 51, Art and the Internet. And right now you're listening to Knock Force's Party Song, which if you ever wanted to hear Jim Gizriel and Ian Jones-Quartey rap, this is it. Now, we mentioned a lot of independent animators in the main episode, but there's a lot that we really didn't have time or much to talk about, but I still want to give a shout out. Want to recommend to you, go check out Andrew Kaiko. He was our interview guest on our 3rd episode, I think. He used to work on Kappa Mikey, and he's doing educational shows for preschools called Tidbits, where squirrels teach kids about science. And there's also Kevin Lordy, who makes videos about ferrets. He also did a little first episode of a web show he wants to get off the ground called The Bro Show, which is about Eddie's older brother before Eddie was born. You should also check out the Twisted Grim. He does some really cool stuff. Some of it's not safe for work, but if you're the right age, or I guess your parents don't love you, you can go watch his stuff. There's also Plankhead. He really hasn't done anything at all. I feel like he's dropped off the face of the earth for the past couple years, but he did do 2 half-hour episodes of this show called Your Face is a Saxophone, and it's about these graphic designers working at an ad agency, and it's in a world where everybody's head is an object. Like, one of them is a bass guitar, another one is a camera. That's really cool. I wish that would have gotten continued, but oh well. Also, look up Purple Stock Studios. I really like their sexy shorts, which are mostly safe for work. I don't know where you work. Why are you watching YouTube videos while you work? You should also check out W or I'm W or whatever. He's a really cool guy. He makes little short animations occasionally. I knew him from funnyjunk.com back when that was a thing. Back when it wasn't as cancerous. Earlier tonight, I was feeling pretty horrible. We knew each other from Funny Junk back when. We knew each other from funnyjunk.com back when that was a thing. And also check out Black Sen. He's done some really cool videos. And in addition to his original stuff, he's also redone some of Suzy's animations. And not gonna lie, they look better than what Suzy did. So that really doesn't bother me. I'm not a squeaky thing wrong, even though he's cool. But anyway, thank you for listening. You can find us on Twitter, Facebook, Tumblr, YouTube. I'll give you those links and also the links to my guests in the description. I'll give you the links to everyone else I mentioned in the description. Thank you for watching the Saturday Morning Block Party podcast. And I put out a call to action to get people to review us on iTunes, and that was a really great outcome. We are now rated 5 stars. We have 9 ratings and 3 reviews. Let me read one for you right now. Walting D and Light says,
getting deeper into cartoons is art. I love the art of cartoons, and it is refreshing to listen to a podcast that dissects them from an intelligent viewpoint. It's also significant that the hosts are not your usual podcast demographic and look at cartoons and animation away from the usual podcast perspective. I really appreciated the Gateway Drugs of Anime and Black History episodes. The commentary on Boondocks was wonderful.
Thank you. I really appreciate your review, your comments. So please go on iTunes and write us a review, give us a ranking. Thank you. Thank you all for listening. We'll see you next time.